I have never acted inappropriately with anyone, period. I saw Ms. Allred and her client yesterday in that news conference for the very first time. As I sat in my hotel room with a couple of my staff members, as they got to the microphone, my first response in my mind and reaction was, I don't even know who this woman is. Secondly, I didn't recognize the name at all. I tried to remember if I recognized her, and I didn't. I tried to remember if I remembered that name, and I didn't. The charges and the accusations I absolutely reject. They simply didn't happen. They simply did not happen. We are not going to allow Washington or politics to deny me the opportunity to represent this great nation. And as far as these accusations causing me to back off and maybe withdraw from this presidential primary race, ain't gonna happen. Because I'm doing this for the American people and for the children and the grandchildren. And I will not be deterred by false, anonymous, incorrect accusations. 9 days ago, the media started to beat me up covering anonymous accusers. And then yesterday, another accuser came forth, identified herself, went on TV, and made some other allegations. Was it tough last week? Yes. Has it been tough the last couple of days? Yes. But you see, that's one thing about Herman Cain that I think a lot of the American people know, and that is just because it's tough is no reason for me not to do what I feel like I have to do. 43 years I've been married to my wife. After watching that press conference yesterday, I called her and I said, sweetheart, did you see it? She said, yes. I said, what did you think? And my wife said, and this is a direct quote, I have known you for 46 years because we were engaged for 2 years. That doesn't even sound like anything that you would ever do to anyone. Sexual harassment accusations are serious. And respect for women and all people that I have worked with or people that have worked for me over the years has been a top priority with respect to me. And now that I'm running for the highest office in the land, accusation after accusation, some anonymous, some not so anonymous, are now coming to light. This is not a surprise. It was expected. But I will vigorously defend my reputation because I will not allow false accusations to compromise or in any way shed badly on my character and my integrity.
As distasteful as it might be, would you be willing to do a lie detector test to prove your honesty in something like this? Even
yes.
Though I'm sure, go ahead.
Yes, I absolutely would. But I'm not going to do that unless I have a good reason to do that. That was one of the first comments that I made in watching this to my staff. I've also shared that with my attorney. Of course I would be willing to do a lie detector test. Secondly, I believe that the character and integrity of a candidate running for president should come under a microscope with facts, not accusations.
Tim Gaynor, Reuters News Agency. Mr. Cain, an Ipsos Reuters poll released this afternoon showed that 40% of Republican voters view you less favorably after seeing Monday's accusations from Sharon Bialek. Given that reaction, how can you convince non-supporters to vote for you?
Well, first of all, you don't need 100% of the voters, you need 51%. It is natural that some voters will be turned off by the mere mention of the accusations. That's normal and that's expected. When she made her accusations, they were found to be baseless, and she could not find anyone to corroborate her story. The Restaurant Association handled it. They went through a process to get to the point where it ended up being an agreement, not a settlement. Now, let me clarify that little point. I've been criticized by some members of the media that I have changed my story. When the firestorm started a week ago Monday, I was presented with the accusation of some settlement was made. Settlement to me means that there were legal implications. Later during that same day, I then recalled, after all those years, that there was an agreement. That's what businesses sign with employees who are departing the company. They call it an agreement. Settlement implies legal implications. All of the potential legal implications or ramifications or accusations were found to be baseless.
The Wall Street Journal. Still, Mr. Cain, there are now a total of 4 women who have accused you of some form of sexual harassment. How do you explain that? Are they making it up? But is that plausible? Can you explain where you think this is coming from? Thank you.
Well, I happen to think where it's coming from is that some people don't want to see Herman Cain get the Republican nomination, and some people don't want Herman Cain to become President of the United States of America. As you know, when you run for the highest office in the land, there are going to be some accusations that are going to come out of the woodwork. They're going to come from anywhere. And I have said this before. There will probably be others, not because I am aware of any, but because the machine to keep a businessman out of the White House is going to be relentless. And if they continue to come, I will continue to respond. I can't answer why the ones that have already made these, one, anonymous accusations, and one that was, put their face on TV, started a media campaign to basically try and slander my integrity and my character. I can't tell you what their motivation is, other than is to stop Herman Cain. I believe that the American people are saying that they are not going to let that happen.
Steve Kraft, Fox 10 News here in Phoenix. Mitt Romney has been quoted as saying he finds these accusations to be disturbing. Can you react to that observation by Mr. Romney and tell us what you think is behind it or what it means?
Sure. Sexual harassment is a very serious matter, as I've said. I find the accusations disturbing, but false. I don't believe Governor Romney was saying that he thought I was guilty of any of these accusations, but yes, they're disturbing because they distract me and my team from taking our message to the American people, talking about solutions. They distract from the whole Republican primary process. So he's right, but I don't think he was saying that I was disturbing because I've been accused. I believe what he was saying, because I know Mitt Romney and his integrity, that he was referring to the fact that it's disturbing that these accusations that are not factually based are disturbing to this process.
Hi, Mr. Cain.
Hello.
Tracy Timur with CNN. In terms of the other case that was found baseless from that accuser, who found it to be baseless, and if so, why was she paid tens of thousands of dollars?
Well, I'm not sure of the tens of thousands of dollars figure that you're referring to, so I'm not going to get caught in that trap. It was negotiations between, I'm only referring to the one lady that actually filed charges, okay? That's the only one I can respond to. She got an attorney, and she and her attorney negotiated and talked with the attorney for the National Restaurant Association. I can't even remember if we got outside counsel in this case. I think we probably did. So it was a situation where they worked back and forth, and they came to the conclusion that it should end with some sort of personnel separation agreement. She worked at the Restaurant Association for a period of time. I do recall that before I left the Restaurant Association, she was in the process of leaving the association. I didn't have regular interaction, although periodically I would see her, and since she reported to my vice president, one of my vice presidents, when we would have a planning meeting, she would attend the planning meeting, because typically when I would do a planning meeting, I would not only bring in my direct reports, I'd bring in the next level down. She was at that next level down. So that was the interaction in terms of me seeing her on a regular basis. During that particular period of time, because I was the president of the National Restaurant Association, today it has over 14 million people working in the industry, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of restaurants. I spent most of my time traveling and giving speeches around the country to state restaurant associations, as well as other speeches that I needed to give. I was not in the office a lot. I was out in the field more than I was in the office.
Mr. Cain, hi. Lindsay Borman with CBS News and National Journal. You said again today that it's been so many years, and you later recalled that there was a financial agreement that you didn't originally remember. Now you say you don't remember Sharon Bialek, that yesterday was the first time you've seen her. Is there a possibility that it's just been too many years and that you could recall some specific details later?
That's a possibility, but I think it's a remote possibility. You know, I'm not an expert on how the brain works. But I do know that I sat there and went over and over and over and over in my mind, do I know this lady? The answer kept coming up, no. I watched her again today when she appeared on Fox News with her attorney doing this interview, sitting there trying to remember, do I know her? I didn't recognize the face, I didn't recognize the name, nor the voice. And so you're right. Is that a possibility? Yes. But I happen to think that's a remote possibility. And here's why. One of the things that people who have worked with me for years will tell you is that I'm pretty good at remembering people, especially people that have had a positive impact in my life or a positive impact on my business. I'm pretty good at remembering people that I have met who have made some sort of impression on me. So in this particular case, I seriously doubt if I'm going to have an aha moment later and say, oh yeah, I remember that. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Hey, Mark Lacey with the New York Times. Karen Kraushaar, who just spoke to our newspaper within the last hour, can you tell us what she accused you of specifically and what your interactions with her were? You came close to answering that, but you stopped. This is your press conference where you're going to level with us and tell us what happened. So tell us what she accused you of and tell us what really happened. This is your chance. Thank you.
Well, I can only recall one thing that I was aware of that was called sexual harassment. The one thing that I remembered during the day when all of this broke loose is that one day in my office at the National Restaurant Association, I was standing next to Ms. Kraushaar, and I gestured, standing near her like this, you're the same height as my wife, because my wife comes up to my chin. That was the one gesture that I remember. The door was open. A secretary was sitting there. It wasn't anything behind closed doors. I gestured because of her height, comparing it to my wife's height. End of story. Other things that might have been in the accusations, I'm not even aware of. I don't remember. That one I remember because that was the one that my general counsel came to me and said, the one that appears to be the one that she was most upset about was that. So I really can't tell you any more because I don't recall anymore, and that's the only one I remember. She did not react at the time.